Beats by Ronnie.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him will not perish but have eternal life.
Amen, 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 hallelujah. Amen, 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 amen.
Okay, today, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we are going to rejoice and be glad in it. Wow, this is a day of good news. It's a day of good news because something beautiful and something only God could have pulled it has happened on this day. I'm reminded on this day of something that have happened so many years ago. Something that got me into trouble with the Christian community, especially in Zambia. And I'm reminded of the words of Jesus Christ when he said, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creatures." Two things he mentioned there: all the world, all creatures. He did not discriminate. Some years ago, I was at the place called Jokers in Ospannplatz. Really many years ago. And I was playing some pool there with a friend of mine, and I was with my wife at that time, so we just got married. So a friend of mine called Tafanji came to us and said, "Man, Dinaf, I am with a friend of mine here from Zambia. He's a popular artist, secular artist actually. He's not born again. He sings R&B, dance hall, and he's one of the top artists in Zambia, and maybe you guys can work together, collaborate and do something." And I'm thinking, he's secular and I'm gospel. What will the people say and blah blah. But then I remember the words of my spiritual father. He said, "No, God is calling you to go into these industries and touch as many lives as possible." And reminded of what Jesus said also to the disciples in the last day. He said, "Just be vigilant and be cautious." I said, okay. So I approached the guy, and I only to find out the guy's name was Taitu. Hey, Taitu, the guy who did Smile. Hey, smile. One of the hit songs of that generation, I'm telling you, man. Most of the Zambians will remember this song. He was there, drinking his beers and all other type of alcohol. And say, "Okay, listen, man, I want to take you to the studio." He agreed. I booked the studio. I worked with him a couple of songs, and he appeared, I think, in probably 3 of my albums, and later in 2 of my wife's albums. Now, remembering what Jesus said, that be cautious as snakes and be vigilant as doves, I didn't really push my religion on him. I didn't preach to him. I didn't say anything. I didn't push any belief of my own into him. I just let him observe and learn. So he was in Namibia for some time, I think 1 or 2 years. And as we were hanging from here to here, here to there, shows were calling, and I was all over the country. I would be at the trade fairs, Olufuko, Ngulumbashe, there were just shows everywhere. So the songs we did together, definitely he needed to appear. And I would tell him, "I want you to go with me to the north, go with me where we're in Always by Swakopmund." He accompanied me. We sang together on the stages. He was still secular. And I told him one of the days, and I said, "You know what? I will not be able to meet with you on Sundays because on Sundays I go to church. But if you are interested, you can come with me to church and just hang with me and listen to what the preacher have to say." He came with me to church 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Eventually, he was coming to church with me almost every Sunday. I'm still quiet. I'm not preaching to this guy. I'm not saying anything. He was just watching and observing. One day we are sitting in church. The pastor is making an altar call for those who want to give their lives to Jesus. And lo and there was Taitu. Boom! Standing up, going to the altar, surrendering his life to Jesus Christ. To me, that was the most beautiful gift he has ever given me on that day, by giving himself over to the maker and the giver of his gifts in his life, Jesus Christ. People were criticizing him for seeing him on my posters at my gospel events. Is Taitu also now a born-again Christian? Is Taitu now also a gospel artist? Let me announce to you on this day, hey, as I'm doing this video, I've just received a video from Zambia. Taitu have just graduated from the Bible school as a man of God. Hey, whew. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is going to save whom he wants to save without your permission. And he will touch whoever he wants to touch without your ideas, your involvement, without your permission. Taitu just graduated now from the Bible school right there in Zambia. I'm going to play you the graduation video where he also sang one of his best and in his current album song, Testimony. He belongs to Jesus now. Please let us be careful in how we deal with each other. The way you were saved is not going to be the same way the next person will be saved. God is having a plan for everybody. Everybody's plan in God's sight is different. And he's going to do what he must do. And he doesn't need your permission. May the name of the Lord be magnified. Testimony.